All right, peace, fam. Welcome to the Alchemy, not the Alchemy Hour. I'm sorry, the Truth Unveiled. I want to say something before I introduce our guest. The Truth Unveiled was created to speak truth to the people and to create the narrative that we are talking about issues and the truth in the communities, not only communities when it comes to politics and real life talk. So when we created this stuff, me and my man we're gonna introduce next, D Moss, that was the narrative that we wanted to fulfill to create the truth. And I think that's what we've been doing with the truth and the truth 2.0 is creating that truthful mirror and having real conversations. We're not going to come on here and script any dialogue or have questions and give you questions that you're going to pre-answer because that's not what the truth is. You're going to come from the heart, you're going to come from truth, and you're going to come from the piece and the side of justice and how you feel it is in your heart. So that's what we're trying to do here. This is probably unlike any other shows besides the shows that D Moss do and the conversations that they have. As you know, we don't script nothing. We gonna get the real answers out there because I hate for you to script a show and you come out and you ask somebody questions. One, they don't know the answers, and two, they can't. They're gonna say, I can't answer that, which we hear all the time and too much. So first up on the mic on the ones and twos, he's no stranger to the media outlet world. This is my man D Moss. He is the host of many podcasts that comes here live through StreamYard and Facebook. He is the owner and the founder of the Metro Record newspaper, creating his own narrative. He is the co-founder of the Indie Soul Festival. He is one of the co-founders of the Black Business Professionals. I can keep going on and on and on. I don't even know half the stuff D Moss does, but as you know, he creates his own narrative. What's up, D?
Hey everybody, Drew, man, thank you for inviting me. This is the first time I've been on somebody's show as a guest, so I'm just like, "Ooh, this is what it's like being on the other side." So I'm looking forward to the conversation. I think dialogue is critically important. I think with this pandemic, I think the digital dialogues have been like just blowing up all over the country, and folks have an opportunity to talk about issues that they never really had an opportunity to express their voice in. So I think this is really critical. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, that's good. And next up on the ones and twos, coming back, one of hip hop's greatest. Nah, my brother Charles X, brother Stokes. He is the founder of the Black Liberation Alliance. He is a pillar in the community. He is an activist. He is from New Jersey, but as you know, he calls Springfield his home because he's been here long enough to call Springfield his home. So welcome to the show, Brother Stokes.
Thank you for having me, and peace and blessings to you, Brother Daryl Moss and Drew Keaton, and to the community at large. I'm looking forward to having a conversation that's going to impact the community in a way that's special and particular, and it is unequivocally pro-Black. And I stand on that, and I hope to have wonderful dialogue for some solutions in our community.
Okay, cool. Let's start off. Let's start off, and once again, we apologize for starting a little late. The weather is kind of nasty out there, so I'm running late. So I apologize, but now we're here. Let's do this. Let's start right off. What is the issue with Springfield? Why does Springfield? What are some of the issues and underlying issues in Springfield? Let's start off with D Moss.
There are a number of underlying issues in Springfield. First of all, is racial equity. Everybody's marching about police brutality, and in the background, racial equity and systemic racism is just blaring in everywhere. And it's not just, not just the police department, not just City Hall, it's just all around the city. This is a sundown town, and cats are sleeping on it. The problem is everybody goes on Facebook, and it's like when I look at this, there's two areas. We have white America, and it's not an issue that's special just to Springfield. We're dealing with some nationwide issues, man. We don't have a national system to combat white supremacy and anti-Black behaviors, number one. Number two, when we talk about the city of Springfield, everybody makes a lot of noise, but I know from my 12 years working downtown, very, 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 very few people actually take that noise to the second floor of City Hall to let people know that they're upset. Third, we have while we're looking at the police department, we should also be looking at the City of Springfield Department of Planning and Economic Development. We should be looking at the procurement office. We should be looking at the Department of Housing. We should be looking at community development and the community development block grants. There's a whole lot that we should be addressing, along with the police department. You know, they're just most of them GED, associate's degree, got their degree after they became police officers, you know, security guards at the gate. It's the folks behind the gate that we need to worry about.
Okay, good. So Stokes, can you answer that question, Brother Stokes?
Yes, I can. It's very complex, as Brother Darrell really eloquently stated. Hold on. So the particular issues that we have, why some of these issues can't be addressed, is I think that it's for me, it starts from the top down. You know, people are in positions to assist people in all of the endeavors that Brother Darrell just laid out. And I think that it is a lack of effort within the Black community's leaders and people, not leaders so per se, like leading people, but if I elect you to office to do some things, if you're in a position of the Urban League or any of those entities that's supposed to help the community, it seems like Black people, when we get to those positions, we don't fundamentally come back and share the information. We don't put people in the proper positions. We don't mentor. I'm not saying we, but there's some things that go on in Springfield that's been going on for like 40 or 50 years, and it really is an impediment to getting some of the things that we need done. Like, for instance, when Gordon Faulkner, a redeveloper, can come into the city, get a job, doesn't have to go to the Old Hill, doesn't go to the Upper Hill, Black contractors don't get a chance to speak, right? All of this under Black people in leadership positions. So he comes in and does what he does, and, you know, there's no respect for us as a community. And I think that has a little bit to do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me also add this and ask this too. So you have a person like D. Moss. So D. Moss, as he opened and talked about the inequities, and so they go ahead and they form the Black business professionals.
Association of Black Business and Professionals.
Well, you got it, the Association of Black Business Professionals. I didn't form it, you formed it. But they formed the Association of Black Business Professionals.
Yep.
And then the membership is low. And then it seems like all people want to do is go to a gala. And then they say, D. Moss, when are you doing the gala again? But really didn't see what the purpose or the focus of what you was really trying to do from the get-go of coming together.
Actually, let me correct you. Membership's not low. We have, there's over 400 members. We have over 100 business owners, and little over 250 Black professionals. So the workshop, just so you know, people don't hear about all the other work that's being done behind the scenes. When we started for a reason. I like to correct people on that because the support from certain populations in the community has been phenomenal, and folks have been coming out. The support we haven't been getting hasn't been coming from any of the traditional leadership. We never get funding. We don't get funding from the state. We don't get funding from the city. And to be honest with you, we never asked for it. So it's really about the work. You dig what I'm saying? So I just want to just make sure people understood that, you know, the support is there and it's been happening.
Right. And actually that's where you answered it before I finished. That's the question that I wanted to basically come out is what's the truth behind the work that you're doing, Darrell? So
it's critical. It's like the last, I probably say since October 1st, I mean, me personally, I've been under fire because I work downtown. I work for that dude, and people automatically do me in a box. That's why I'm really careful about who I call a coon, sellout, whatever the case may be, because sometimes people don't pay attention to the work that's being done. We talk about police brutality about 3-4 years ago. Everything people are talking about now, we did this dinner and dialogue with well over 200 people in the room down at UMass. And we talked about all that. We broke it down for people, how to attack it, who to attack, exactly what's going on without sparing any details. The question is, who's listening? When we look at the people who are the most vocal, the loudest people in the community, none of those people were there. It was just regular everyday people who showed up to say, oh, wow, I need to learn more about this. We've had workshops dealing with the police department and the inequity in the police department, the hiring, and really working behind the scenes, get cats to take them exams to move up. But we can't get any. It was hard to get. I'm gonna keep it 100. It was hard to get activists in the room because typically we have something, you promote the hell out of it on Facebook, any 90.7, anywhere you can. People pick and choose what they come out to. We have people who pimp, social issues that are like negatively impacting our community. But then when you ask them about that body of work, talking about something and constantly complaining about something is totally different from creating a body of work. It's like, all right, that's cool. What are you doing about it? So let me back up. When we started the Association of Black Business and Professionals about 6 years ago, it was because we knew it's like, well, everybody's complaining about inequity. We're like, yo, we need to galvanize the Black business community. When you look at the Jewish community, they're led by their business leaders. You look at the Latino community, you look at everything they're doing in the North End, they're led by their business community. You look at the Irish, them cats that were walking in and out of Dominic's office. That was the business community. You look at the Italians, it's their business community. We're the only ones that had preachers coming in to speak on our behalf. You dig what I'm saying? So it's like, if you don't have a strong economic base, you can't blame anybody. When you look at the deterioration of the Black business community in the Springfield area, when I first moved here in '94, there's Black businesses. The minute you cross that sign, there was businesses all the way down State Street, almost to the Aquarius. So let me just say this. So you cut down Walnut Street, there was businesses, Black restaurants. Eastern Ave, businesses, Black restaurants. Hancock Street, there were businesses. That's why I moved here. And I'm like, yo, this is crazy. But then those businesses started shutting down and nobody paid attention. Those historical houses that folks were being penalized for, all these crazy fines for not keeping the houses up to par were being swallowed up by AIC and Springfield College. They started taking those historical homes and turning them into parking lots. Nobody paid attention. You talk about where the problem is. Nobody paid attention. That's our base. Yo, home ownership, man, that's like the most crucial aspect of financial wellness and legacy planning and economic development. Those businesses disappearing. When we got to go, whether you're a white elected official, community activist, whatever people decide to call themselves, when we got to run the white people for money to fight white people, bruh, even if you're a city council, school committee member, we know there's nothing in city council can do because it's all zoning and ordinance. So we have city councilors that are elected. Aside from sending out press releases and press advisories, where are they at? You dig? I look at the school committee. We look at the problems with our kids. Where are they at? When Paula Morton was trying to get that program off the ground, couldn't get a single Black school committee member on board. And these are the same people that cats are constantly praising every day, all day. Cats don't return phone calls. I had cats who would call me, yo, I was told by the city council to give you a phone call. Well, we called them, but they said call you. But people are constantly praising them. So it's not the focus. We can't rely on traditional leadership. When you talk about what we should do, yo, the real power lies in the hands of the people. And I know that sounds like an antiquated slogan. Everybody's going crazy over Judas and the Black Messiah. Fred Hampton was single-handedly transforming inner city Chicago. He was 17 when he started. Wasn't no politicians on board. Wasn't no preachers on board. Wasn't no Urban League, no NAACP, nothing. So it's the people, man. It's the people. So when we started the association, which gets me back to the association, I wasn't going to none of these other people because I knew there's nothing they can do. It's the people. When you look at the number of micro businesses that have been created since then, let me tell you, it's the people.
And before I get to Stokes, I wanted to say, so that's kind of like what I was getting to, because you don't have to tell me what you do. I already know when you start something because your ideas. I mean, the first thing you said when we were doing this, you had Dr. Claude Anderson, and you thought process was bigger than what probably this people thought about it and people can see in Springfield. So I understand. So basically, how this came out. Somebody came to me the other day, and they said, and I'll tell you offline who said it. But they tell me, well, what does any black organization associated black business professional does? So there you go. You got it out your words mouth. But the other thing is a lot of things that you do, a lot of people don't support it anyway. So
No.
I want to jump into Brother Stokes now. When you talk about the economic development, like Daryl just talked about, what are some of the other things in the city of Springfield that we can do to get the people united?
Well, I think that's a great point. So for the past 22 years, I've been articulating that we as a people, we need to come together. I've actually been talking about for 22 years, and we need a day of atonement here in the city of Springfield. And black people have to come out and come together, and whatever issues and problems we have, we must address them. But here's what must stop happening is people pimping, as Daryl said, our poverty, our pain, and our apathy, right? And they don't do anything about it.
Yep.
So I'm talking about we have to go to the community. When I say we, us, those of us who have been out here on this forefront, and ask the community to trust us. Because what has been going on for the last 40 years, it has to stop. When we had the motorcycle building, Woolworths, auto body shops, bicycle shops, all of that was all black in the 70s. We had a drugstore, we had Shabazz Chicken, a Buckingham Rec, Hill Jet Social Club. My uncle was going to work at Pratt and Whitney, and you didn't have to drive your car anywhere but to Mountain Park and Riverside. Then what happened? Richard Neal and Ray Jordan gentrified our community with Eastville Mall. So now, because white people, when we moved from the Riverview projects up here to the Winchester Square area, it was white. The white people then began to go out to 16 acres and other places close to Wilbraham. When we started going to Wilbraham, 16 acres, they started going to Wilbraham. So what we have had happen here in our city has been people who are in black leadership positions, who have been elected into office, has taken advantage of our community and our people, and we have been silent because we say we don't want to call people out because we don't want our dirty laundry out. But the people who are exploiting our pain and our apathy continue to do it. And not only that, they pick people to take their place afterwards. And so the same monopoly goes on. And the poor people, who are not poor in spirit, but poor economically. I'm going to give you a for instance. Henry Thomas got $500,000 from Mass Mutual to the Urban League to fix that place where they go to. $500,000 he got from Mass Mutual and did not come to anybody in the community who's doing work like Daryl is doing and you're doing and I'm doing and say, how can we stop gun violence? When you have people in leadership positions who have connections and they fail to help us, it is betrayal. They have been betraying us, and we have been complicit by what I know, buddy, and that's just the way he is. Or I know Malo, and that's the way he is. You don't want to sign the consent decree, right? Because you need to learn more. I know about the consent decree and I got a GED. But you don't want to talk about these issues. And we elect you for office and we don't hold them accountable. They must. New North Citizens Council just opened up another building at Jinxie's, where old Jinxie's is at.
Right.
They have a space there now, right? We can't move like that in this city. Why? The people in connections are going to the state house and they're not producing. And we let them walk through our community and we don't hold them accountable. And then when we do hold them accountable, you're called a loudmouth, you're militant. When you begin to call them out, you're the bad guy. Not what they're doing, not what they have been doing for 40 years. Listen, if the police union supports you like they do Jesse Letterman can't sign a consent decree. The police union supports him, and the police union supported February the 7th of this year was 27 years Ben Schofield was murdered on a lie. And the police union and the police officers celebrated passing out pigs and watermelon. Vinny and Kayline's father was murdered in the North End by police officers in our community. And now you got the police union backing you, and you think you can articulate for us? You walk through our community, Jesse Letterman. We don't hold you accountable. We don't hold people accountable, and they do what they want. That's the main issue. And listen, I'm not judging anybody. And we are all, I'm just as guilty as everybody. But when you atone for that and you make amends, then yes, I had to make amends. And when you do that, you're welcome back because we're loving people. But they don't even make amends. And they're crapping all over us. And when Shubrick wanted to get her marijuana dispensary in the Republican, everybody on the North End who was opposed to her, they got a chance to speak and say why they didn't want her in that building. But when Gordon Faulkner comes to the motorcycle building, he doesn't meet with anybody. Why? When you come to find out that Bud Williams receives campaign contributions from him and his wife, and then that's the president of the city council is Bud Williams' nephew or cousin, Marlo is his boy, and they're riding around the community doing this to us. You can't go to Forest Park. You can't go to Ward 3 and not get in contact with their civic people in their community. They'll shut you down. But in our community, black contractors don't speak. Black electricians don't speak. Nobody speaks because they have, well, you don't got to worry about Miss Barbara Gresham. You don't have to worry about Miss Adrienne Osborne. We got that. So this is the main problem that we have. And once we expose that and get good men in and women, when we have a platform, you running for office, okay? Do you support police unions? If you support signing a contract for the Springfield Police Department and they're not willing to get rid of qualified immunity, then we can't elect you.
Right.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, listen.
Can I just correct one thing, bro?
Yep.
You mentioned the thing about Ray Jordan. You know, Ray Jordan didn't get into office until 75. Eastfield Mall was, no, let me just finish.
Sir.
No.
It wasn't built then.
Let me finish.
Okay.
The Eastfield Mall was built in 1967. He didn't come into office until 1975. And let me just say this. The Octagon Lounge, which kind of catapulted a whole bunch of those brothers, to neighborhood fame, didn't happen until 1973. So I think we got to be clear on that. And that I only know that. I only know that because when I was down there, I had to do a proclamation on all that stuff. So we're looking at 67 when it was built. He got in office in 75. So he didn't really have, he didn't have the juice to get the Eastfield Mall built. So let me just say this, because you're on the right path. I just like the correct information. Just
no. I want to help you out. I'm going to help you out.
Yep.
There's people in this community right now that are with the Urban League. There's people in our community living right now who are still at odds with Ray Jordan, because Ray Jordan and Richard Neal was the impetus in 75 when we were going into those stores and we were going shopping in those stores. Okay. So we were all shopping. So what I do know is this: there's some elders in this community right now who got paid off, silenced, and overrun. And the only reason why I found this out, when I ran for city council in 2000, somebody mailed me some information. I don't know what happened to it, but anyway, more will be revealed. But what I will say unequivocally is, from Ryan to Neil to any of those white politicians, the only way they get into this community is through black people who are trying to gain something.
Right.
That's I agree. The only way they get in our community.
And I don't debate that. I just like to make sure we get those dates right so people get a clear picture of what was happening. The other thing is, right. We got these elected officials on all levels. We got to do a better job. And I think the impetus really falls on the community, man. We're still supporting people. We're still supporting people who have been ineffective.
Yeah. So let me say something before you
plethora of issues, and you're right. We got to check that. I'm not disagreeing. Right. Go ahead, Drew. My bad.
No, before you say that, and that's actually what I was about to get to, Daryl, because it's been time and time that we try to organize, and we have not been listening what we've been trying to do. Like to Ray Jordan's and them credit, they had their breakfast program that they were doing in their meeting. We're not doing that. We haven't seemed to done that. So now to your point, because now we can get into what you were about to say, Daryl. How as a community, and we've tried to form and get people together. The problem is the younger gen. Some of us don't even like each other, and that's a shame. And those are issues. If you don't like each other, you're not going to sit down to the table with people. And it's just the honest guy is truth. Listen, both you two. I love you. I want to say that I like I don't want to say that I don't have no enemies. I want to say people don't like me because maybe I do. They affiliate with me with Daryl Moss, and you know Daryl, I've got that. Or they affiliate with me with Stokes, and you know I got that. And I want to say I have love in my heart for everybody, and I'll still get on my soapbox. But at the same token, how can we make these politicians in the community accountable? How can we create a group like everybody else? Like you're saying, you can't go and sit down with the Italian community and run in their office without them telling you this is how it's going to be. How can we create that? And when should we create that? We should do that.
Replace them.
So how do we?
I just finished. I'm sorry. I got a million thoughts in my head.
Right.
We're in the process of creating a pact. Again, we're not. I'm not one for dealing with mainstream cats. From the time I arrived in Springfield, never did, never will, aside from working downtown, and that shit was disgusting. I'll never do it again. I get more stuff done when I do it on my own. When we did the festival, we never received $1 from anybody. All these old Negroes came down promising, we'll get you money. You need to contact me. Oh, how many times do you hear that, Drew? Stokes, in your travel,
I heard it a lot of times. I heard it to the point where when me and Daryl was talking about this, I used to always say, Daryl, we need to get Daryl. We ain't asking nobody for nothing. It's true. He's right about that.
Never asked that white dude I work for a single dollar because I don't want no one to owe me. Mm-hmm. I got to be able to say what I want, do what I want. So that's problem number one. When they feel you a loose cannon, nobody's gonna work with you. Because they only white, black, blue, or brown. They only want to work with Negroes who can be controlled. Mm-hmm. So let's be real clear. Now, getting back to your question, we got to replace cats. We're in the process right now. We just completed the work, paperwork. We're trying to get the federal status for a political action committee. Why?
Yeah.
We got to be able to fund cats that really want. You can't run unless you have the resources to put out there for marketing, branding, advertising. Critical.
Right.
Critical.
Right.
So the only way to get rid of people, you have to create a PAC so you can raise the money from our own people so that we can start helping these young cats, older cats. Let me be real clear, young and old, to navigate that process. The other thing is we're always triple and quadruple vetting black people when they run for office. Asians run whoever, Latinos run whoever, white boys run whoever. We're the only ones who say, well, I don't know him. Well, he has a history. He's perpetually late. We'll find a trillion reasons not to support a black dude. So we got to move past that. And the only way to move past that is you can't work with every freaking body. I don't care what nobody says about this unity crap. You cannot work with everybody because some cats are pariahs. They're remorse fish. They flow with the wind. We need cats who can stand their ground. If I say something's red, it's red. Black folks got mad at me because I said grab the rifles. Fucking President Trump is telling the young white boys, grab your guns and shoot Negroes.
Wow.
I'm going to stick to my position, whether you like it or not. So you got to find people who share similar backgrounds, similar values, and they get where you're coming from. You cannot work with everybody. To put together a PAC, to replace some of these folks and to really break that cycle and create entirely new traditions, progressive black traditions, dude, man, it's like growing a garden. You got to get rid of the weeds. The problem with us, when Stokes said we're a forgiving people, we're too damn forgiving.
Yes.
We're too damn. So we'll see somebody in a political position and we'll continue to support them just because. Just because.
Right.
We got businesses that we support just because. Man, I remember when I helped DJ Boogie get his guns back, Rick Hurst, in The Point of View, put a big article saying I should have went to jail. This is a Negro telling me I should have went to jail for forcing the city to respect this dude's constitutional rights to bear and carry arms.
Right.
Big ass article. But then we jump on that bandwagon and we support these people anyways because they have a platform.
Right.
If we're going to move forward, man, we have to get off that bandwagon thinking. We can't be remorse fish. We can't just eat off the big fish. We have to make our own way. Don't freaking go crazy over Fred Hampton if you ain't going to be Fred Hampton.
Talk about it,
Don't
D.
go crazy over Malcolm if you ain't going to be Malcolm.
Right.
The bottom line is, if you're going to commit to this, you got to commit to this. We have a newspaper now, and we've tried it a couple of times in the past. We can't get Negroes to even submit news. Tell me some good things happening in your neighborhood. Tell me what you're doing with your organization. Cats like, nah, send it to Mass Side. Well, you keep going to the white boys that won't come to you until they need you to put down another black man. When do you ever see Mass Side in our neighborhood? You don't. When you see Channel 22, you don't. Channel 40, you don't. Channel 57, you don't. Until something bad happens, and then they highlight it, and they always find some coon who want to get on the air and talk about, the violence every day. Our kids are dying every day. That would mean we'd be losing 365 kids a year, one every day. Right. We got to stop with that bullshit, and we got to stop. If we're going to change that, we have to change ourselves, which means we have to change how we see our community. Right. We can't just walk through the neighborhood and say everything is going to hell, when the reality is we got people in the square, in Ward 5, up here where I live in Ward 8, beautiful neighborhoods, beautiful families, living decent lives, dotting the I's, crossing the T's. But every time we speak on behalf of our community, we're always talking about how pitifully poor and how just beat down our people are. And we have to stop that lie. We got to change that narrative. Narrative is everything. So 1, we got to replace these people. 2, put a mechanism in place to replace these people. 3, let me tell you something. When we decide to go hit the club, when we go to the strip club and we want to go throw dollars at strippers knowing our rents due, that shit ain't got nothing to do with any of these old heads or any of these politicians. As Brother Stokes said, we have to atone. And we have to change our worldview and how we do things. And we have to create brand new models. Historically, we've operated from a deficits model. Everything we do is built on deficits. We don't have enough of this, and we don't have none of that. We are black people. We work fucking miracles, excuse my language. We work miracles every day just by waking up in the morning. There's nothing we can't do.
This is the truth unveiled. You know, you can swear all day on the truth unveiled, man. I'm not going to stop you. Before we get to Stokes, though,
because I go on the roll. It's just like there's so many things that black people need to do, and I'm tired of hearing about. I don't want to hear about them old Negroes, and I don't want to hear about them because every time we talk about what black people need to do, we always drag white people into the room. Well, they don't listen to us, and they won't let us do this. We can do whatever we want to do. That coon shit has to stop.
Right.
The bottom line is, if we want to build, we just gotta say fuck it, and we just gotta build and make it happen.
Right. So before we get to Stokes, so am I hearing it right? Replace right. No. Listen. This is why you on here, because people got to hear the truth and they got to hear what we got to do. Because you're right, we got to stop this because if D-Moss decides to leave town, we're gonna be talking. The next person, Andrew Keaton and Stokes, gonna be talking the same stuff that D-Moss been trying to get us to do 5 years and 20 years ago. So it's just an ongoing cycle, and we need to stop these cycles. Like we know what the issues are and what we need to do, and we ain't doing it. So it's just like what he's saying is, if somebody's running for office from now on, if they're not sitting down with this political pact that you or telling you what they're going to do for us or they're not going to do for us, then we're going to publicly tell them we're not voting for them and get them out of here. That's what we need to be doing. And Stokes, so you wanted to chime in on that?
No, I just wanted to say, I was thinking about Brother D-Moss and Brother Keyshawn, the wonderful event they had last week, right? Mm-hmm. That's a start. And we have to know that our people are apathetic. We have to know that some of our people are mentally destroyed. Mentally. We can never, ever, ever forget our sojourn here in America and what they did to us that has us in this peculiar position that we're in. But we have hope and faith. And the things that Daryl is doing is getting back that momentum that was taken away when the crack expedition happened. When that crack thing hit, it did more to us in this community than a lot of issues that we don't talk about, and how some of the children were born like that. And yet and still we make it. What Daryl and them is doing, that's coming up with Ionas. Everybody spend $20. It's the start, because he's right. Without an economic foundation, you are a pauper. And a pauper can't control anything. But a philanthropist is one who can touch and reach and do things. And so, wonderful idea. And we gotta support that. And we got to start talking to the people like who we're related to and say, listen, man, I need you to come and vote, brother. We got our people. We're going to put them in office. We need you to go and vote for just our people. And it's not a lot of people. We select people who are going to follow an agenda that is right by the black community first. And if they're not going to do that, then we can't vote for you. We have to start talking to these pastors. I mean, straight out. We have to start going to these pastors, these imams, and everybody and be like, this is what it is. You see it. Daryl Moss, Charles Stokes, and Drew Keaton don't have to tell these people what is going on. They see it. They just don't have the testicular fortitude to do anything. And if you're not going to do anything, then move. And we got to get our community to see we love them also, but they are betraying us. Whomever the leaders are who are blocking the people from getting what they need is an enemy to us. And it's just the way it is. And I hate to be so dramatic about it, but they're really enemies. And what's important is we got to remember the language that J. Edgar Hoover used. The Messiah. They see us, Drew, Stokes, D. Moss, as a Messiah. The biggest threat to America is us, black men. But we've been marginalized, put to the side. Look at the stereotypes. You see Superwoman, thug. All the analogies of us, you now hear creeping into the language. We need to get rid of the patriarchal system and the nuclear family has to be. This is the language that creeps in. But J. Edgar Hoover knew who he was attacking. Killed that man at 21 years old. So when we organize like this, the threat is coming. Do not think that you can have this conversation. The threat is coming, but who gives a damn? They can only kill you one time and it's over. But we can't leave a legacy to our children where they have to do, when they get our age, what we're doing now. That is insane. It's insane to think, to lay down at night at your daughters and your children and look at the community, if they're going to live here, and say, is my daughter at 48 going to be fighting the same fight? We have the capability to gather this community and come to, I keep mentioning this, atoning. But we can't keep allowing politicians, these social service agencies, pimps, and gatekeepers to continue to do what they're doing to us, and we remain silent. Oh, one other thing I was thinking, I'm always thinking for Daryl. If they don't want to run, if they want to run for office, then they have to meet with the Metro. They go to the Republican, right? Then hell, you come to the Metro. We are that power and force. And we endorse candidates that's going to do the best thing for us.
Right.
We got it, and we got to support them.
Yeah. And that's what I was alluding to earlier, Stokes, about any person running for office needs to come through that pack and that organization that is being created, because enough is enough. They do it in Boston. They do it in different places. I'm not saying they do it all over, because like Daryl said, this is a systemic issue that goes on across the country for individuals and like-minded individuals that think like master is the boss or something, or they can't do any work without master, or they always got to run from him for funds. So that is a problem, though. So let me ask this politically, and I'm gonna jump right off on politically. I'm gonna go into another subject. Politically, if, for instance, say if D. Moss, I'm not trying to put D. Moss on the spot. So say if D. Moss wanted to run for mayor and we all supported D. Moss to run for mayor, what would you change, D. Moss, like mayor? Like, what would you change the relationship, the dynamics, as far as from downtown all the way up to the whole side of Springfield? What would you change?
I don't know. They wouldn't want me to be mayor. The entire personnel department would be predominantly black. First of all, you look at all these employment positions, and the low percentage of black people working is pathetic. Next, I go find me a black chief of police or police commissioner. First thing you want to do is clean up downtown. You want to clean it up. When you look at the racial inequity emanating from downtown, it's horrendous. And people think I'm saying that because I'm no longer working there. I've been saying that shit for years. It's just hard getting people to listen. First thing is just making sure I have to shake up downtown and make sure they understand that that old boy ish is not going to work. We talk about hiring, and they're always saying they couldn't find unqualified candidates. There's no such thing as an unqualified candidate. There's just people who don't get active opportunities. Every time we get a phenomenal black person applying, they're either overqualified or underqualified. Either they'll do and say anything to keep them from being hired. And the reason why I focus on the hiring is because you got these fair weather white liberals at the door talking about, yeah, I believe that Black Lives Matter, but they're not hiring Black people. You look at these supervisors, these managers, these department heads. Outside of Helen Colton's department, there are no Black people. Let me keep it real.
Right.
My man Early Crenshaw was at the Parks Department, and Pat Stubbs is a great dude. He's training cats to be supervisors, but they would never elevate him. So, and this is a fight these are some of the fights that we've had over the years. So it's kind of like, first thing you have to do is shake things up. When it talks about the neighborhood, it's about finding new people to come in and oversee the community development. They oversee the community development block grant, which was put in place back in the 60s at some point to ensure that folks in inner city communities, predominantly Black communities, had access to resources to build up their neighborhoods and communities. Those dollars are always being reallocated outside of the community. Putting a support, making sure that supports are in place for Black businesses, for folks who live in economically impacted neighborhoods, to ensure that the zoning and ordinances are aligned to what the businesses need and not what the general community is looking for. When I say general, we're talking white community. So we lose businesses every day because we have code enforcement officers who are in and out of their businesses every day harassing them.
Right.
The other thing, I would take a look at the tax title foreclosure to ensure that a lot of our folks who have been in their homes for 30 and 40 years aren't continuing to lose their home. So you'd have to shake that up, first of all. When it comes down to what's happening in the community, looking at the line items, there's not a lot that can be done in terms, they don't really have a budget to fund inner city communities, but you can develop a relationship with the Western Mass legislation. This is the largest city in Western Mass. You can develop a relationship with the legislation to ensure that these dollars are earmarked for specific neighborhoods, for specific organizations, for specific programs. You can do that. The other thing is, I'd go straight over to planning and economic development, and I'd get rid of Tim Sheehan and all the white dudes down there who are never looking to replace the industry that we lost up in Mason Square and returning it back to that area. You're talking about the heyday. My dad used to bring us up for the Harambe back when y'all had all those department stores and there was everything happening up there. All that was eliminated. And it's like it was replaced with absolutely nothing. I understand that the industry has shifted. Those warehouse factory jobs are gone. So, but there's still industry that can, that we need to have folks who are constantly working to bring, those biometrics down here, biomedics down here. We need to have all that stuff down here in the city of Springfield. Looking at the digital age, what are we doing to find the funding to support folks who are creating digital businesses? What are we doing? What supports are we putting in place for micro businesses? We're not doing any of that. So my thing is, as a Black man, I don't want nobody to do shit for my kids except for me. I don't need handouts from white people. What I need is opportunity. We're talking opportunity. I want equity in the city. If I'm a homeowner, I pay taxes. Have a business, I pay taxes. But then what comes back to the Black community on the other end? Nothing. Black votes protest. The first group of people to meet with the mayor after all the protests, after this tumultuous summer we just had, were the folks from the North End. Look at the perks.
Wow.
A lot of y'all parading some of these city councils around saying, oh, you guys let them march over to Nathan Bill. The fuck was that clown show? You weren't addressing the inequities of the city. Where were you? Why were you not at the table meeting with the mayor saying, listen, as a city council, as a school committee member, as a business leader, as a nonprofit leader, leader in the nonprofit community, we're here to talk about what you're going to do for us. Otherwise, we're going to open the doors and allow these people to come into your building. So when you talk about leadership, there's active leadership, then you have this passive leadership. Passive leadership. I don't care what you got to say on a podium in front of people 10 miles away from City Hall. That does nothing.
Right.
But what are you doing to ensure that your voice is heard? Are you coming back to the community? Are you organizing community forums, meetings, and educating the people on what's going on?
Right, D.
That's different. So if I ran for mayor, I'd be like Richard Hatcher. Got to study history. I'd be like Richard Hatcher of Gary, Indiana, back in the early 1970s.
That's my dude.
Black contractors to work together so they can compete with the Palmer paving. And then I can give them the $5, $6, $70 million contracts. That's what I would do.
Yeah. So, Richard, that's my dude. That's a good analogy, Daryl. That's my dude, because I seen the press conference where he ran out when he seen all the white reporters in there. Did you see that one when he just walked out and he said he ain't gonna work in the city where ain't no black reporters and stuff? So that's what's up, though. I agree with that. So Stokes, if we heard Daryl's piece. Are you finished with that, Daryl? You still got more to add? Or?
I'm good.
So say you ran for city council or state rep. What would you change and what would you do?
The first thing I would do is, as a city councilman, I mean, as state rep, I would work with the mayor, Daryl Moss, right? And take his ideas to the state house, because that's what we do. And I would the first thing I would do is work hard to ban a qualified immunity. I would really tell the city of Springfield not to sign any contract with the Springfield Police Department and that union unless they defund qualified immunity. Take it off the books.
Yep.
And if you're not going to do that, then we're not going to sign the contract. I would support the mayor and the city council in that, and try to work hard legislatively to work with people of like mind to get that passed. And then I would offer a suggestion to deal with our school system. I would get Terrell Hill and make him superintendent of our schools.
Good choice.
That's exactly what I would do.
Word.
I would get Terrell Hill, get him in charge of our schools. Homegrown, intelligent, articulate doctor, Terrell Hill. That's what I call him. And have him work in our community, in our school system. And then, what nobody else would do, I would get me and Daryl, you, a few good police officers, and I'd walk up to Knox Ave, I'd walk up to Sycamore, and I'd walk up to all those blocks and say, it's over. We now run this city. You're going to stop doing what you're doing. We're going to help you with your mental health services. We're going to help you with your schooling. We're going to help you. But one thing you're going to do is you're going to stop killing. If you get off your butt and get into the community, see stuff, report it, legislatively make a difference with proactive behavior. That's what the elected officials do. It's called a bully pulpit. Me and Daryl working together. He's the mayor, I'm the state rep. What you need, mayor? All right. How do we best get this done? Work together with the other state representatives. But I want to touch on something before I go. Daryl is right. We have to have a conversation with those brothers and sisters in the Latino community. We need that. Maria Ligas, Herbie Flores, Adam Gomez, Orlando Ramos, all of them who now professing Latina X and that they're black. We need to sit down and talk about stop treading on us. We love people and we're with everybody. Don't use us, man. Don't use us. And we have to let our state legislators know we get ours off the top. We pay taxes. We're homeowners. We don't got to kiss nobody's butt. We don't have to grovel. We elect you to put you in a position to be our voice. And if you can't do it, get out the way. Period. And with the Latino community, if you're not going to be an equal partner with us, then why are we faking? I voted for Adam. I had a sign out in my yard for him because I believed in him. So now I want to see it. So yeah, there's other people too. I don't got no problem with it. They know who they are. New North Citizen Council, Herbie Flores and them, they know who they are and what they don't care about is us. And we have to stop allowing people who don't care about us to kiss us on the face on one side, and then behind our backs, they're kicking us in the behind. And I always said that Daryl Moss got fired because he was in the way of protest dollars coming into the community. That's why they got rid of Daryl. To me, that's just I do a little sleuth work in my own brain sometimes. And I came up with that. Yeah. Nobody said it. It ain't true. But I believe in my heart that he had to be removed so that other people could continue to do what they're doing because he wasn't going for it.
You know what? Let me, and I've never really spoke to that publicly, just so people know, for anybody who's watching, if you really think that got fired over a Facebook post,
come on, man.
I don't know what to tell you. There was so much happening behind the scenes. First of all, Dominic has control issues. The little Irish dude they brought in, Tommy Ash, he walks around like he controls the world. I'm not here for it. Never was here for it. Yes, anybody who worked at City Hall, the first one to make sure that we had, black employees, I jump on it. So for those folks who are still talking about this brother just became black on October 1st, I don't know what to tell you. I'm from Berkeley Heights, brother. I don't know what to tell you. We ain't never rocked that way. I have no problems with losing a job because my pops taught us to be real men. Real men go out and they find ways to bring money in. So don't think that anything I have to say, I'm saying because I don't work here. It just means that you haven't been paying attention. But I agree with you, Strokes. I think the other thing I would do as mayor is create a department so that all these mothers who have lost their babies.
Oh, yeah.
I'd make sure there was a separate department, a whole new department created just to investigate the murders of those folks so that these parents can get some justice. The fact that Cheryl Clapperoo, John Barbieri before her, Fitchett before him, they never, ever addressed what happened to a lot of these folks' babies. They, lead them on. I'd get calls, and it's like, I don't even know what to tell you because Cheryl Clapperoo would never return my emails or my phone calls. She'd only respond to the white people in the office. She's a racist bigot, and anybody who works for the city that tries to deny that is absolutely foul. I'm gonna say that right now. You're absolutely foul. She's a racist bigot. She's part of the problem. She was part of the folks who tried to cover up what took place at Nathanville. So when folks want to know what happened to their kids, man, I don't care how many times you do standouts, how many times you do vigils. It didn't bother these people. The one time I remember over the last 12 years that they were bothered over the murder of a teenager was when that little white kid got his neck slashed at Blue Fusion. I remember Dominic Sarno slamming doors, going crazy. 2 weeks ahead of that, we lost a young brother. He might have been 16 or 17. I'll never forget him. He was murdered on James Street in front of his house. They shot him in his head. And the media automatically said he was a gangbanger because the police department said he was a gangbanger. And that little kid on James Street was not gang involved. And no matter what you tried to tell them folks downtown, their narrative was set. So let me just go back again. Drew, I know I'm talking a whole lot. I just got to get this shit off my chest. We created this newspaper. It's not about, trying to find a way to make money. It's about controlling the narrative. Narrative is every freaking thing. As long as they control the narrative, we'll always be fighting against ourselves. We will always be fighting against ourselves because somebody else is telling us who we are and what to think about ourselves and each other. And as long as we fall for that, we're done.
Yeah, I remember. I'm just gonna say this too, because and I don't care how much you talk, D. Moss. I know we got to get off in a few though, but I don't care how much you talk, you D. Moss and Brother Stokes, because people need to hear the truth, and this is what the show is called, The Truth Unveiled. But I just want to say this: when the paper first started, and because Daryl just sit there and Daryl come up with an idea, and I was like, I don't know how did this dude sleep. He'll say, we got to start this paper, and it was called. Remember, the first paper was called The African American Scene. Mm-hmm. And I remember people having opposition to the name African American Scene with the red, black, and green flag on it.
Yeah.
And these were our own people, Brother Stokes. I'm telling you, he'll tell you, Daryl will tell you. So let me just say this. He was saying people were oppositions. And a lot of people, and then we had oppositions to the other paper. We had And I'm just going to tell how the truth. I have no problems and no issues with anybody or the point of view, anything. But they were in opposition to the paper. Like, you don't go into other white entities and tell them why is this, why is there another advocate, or why is there a reminder. They don't do that to each other, but we do it to us. So there was opposition. So the first paper that came out, I remember we were sitting right next to James. Remember, we had the office in James' store trying to drum up sales and do all of this stuff without little support. I'm always going to say little support because I know how hard it is for people to support each other, because we are a perfect example of, regardless if we get support or nothing, we still going to move on and go on. We like that train that don't have brakes. We still going to roll. So
right.
John Henry was my uncle. Knock a hell of a hole in the mountain.
So I'm saying that too, is people don't realize this is the fourth reinsertion of this paper, because we started the African American scene. We started again. Then Daryl said, I'm starting the Metro Record. He even got everybody business card, started the Metro Record, had to stop and started up again. So the what I'm saying is the perseverance in that is you never get up, and you always at some point gotta control the narrative. And what people don't realize is Daryl didn't just not start working downtown and started. Daryl been doing this shit behind the scenes. He just was behind the scenes doing this stuff. So I want to say that to say this is, and I like both of you plans about being in office, and and I hope politicians are listening to people are listening, because you basically put together a plan of how it should really be working, instead of people cutting side deals here or people having this conversation. And I don't care who get mad or whatever you get mad. This city is you got, and Daryl talked about the homes. This is the city of homes, and you got people's homes being fucking taken away from them. What kind of shit is that?
On a regular basis.
Yeah, on a regular basis, and people can't do nothing about them. And then next thing you have slum landlords that don't even live in the city, don't even live here, live in New York and live in Boston, and you can't get a hold to them. But when it's time for you to pay rent, they're all in court getting thrown out, and the city does nothing for them. You know,
by the time they get their letters notifying that they're going to be, they're in danger of being foreclosed for tax title, their developers and real estate agencies already taking pictures of their property. This is the city sending them out there. We had that one brother that me and brother Johnny had worked with and helped him out helped him to keep his property. 80-year-old brother, man. They split his property. They split his property into 2 lots, and they sold one half of it. Yeah. And then dude coming in, he's dealing with the white dudes in the office. And they're like, yeah, we've done everything we can. They've gave you opportunities. I walk in and I'm like, well, what happened? So I go downstairs to find out they never sent the man a letter, never worked with him. He owed under what, $20,000. And they had already had his house sold off. So people need to understand, you don't just protest for police brutality. Let me tell you, when it comes down to abuse. Yo, Charles, you can punch me in my jaw. I'll recover from that. I can take, man, over my years, I found out I can take a good punch. But what I can't take is a real hard psychological scar.
That's right, brother. And
that's how they're getting us. So when you look at tax title foreclosure, I don't know how many people we've helped. It's like, yo, I don't care if they messed up on that last deal, get them another one.
Right.
And we argue with the treasurer. We're arguing with the folks in housing. We're arguing with legal, and they get it. So I'm just hoping that for the brothers and sisters who are still down at City Hall, I'm just hoping that they're still helping people to save their property. Don't believe your white colleagues. They will look you dead in your eye and they will lie to you.
Good stuff.
Got to continue to help. So that home ownership is critical, because they're looking at, man, these folks coming back into our neighborhoods, man. You drive through the McKnight area, there's more of them than there is us. Everybody's moving into our neighborhoods. We're moving out or out the city. And it's like, listen, and then, and I honestly, I think most of us should be moving out those neighborhoods and buying houses in other areas and buying brand new houses, because we're living in houses that were owned by the Irish, the Italian, the Jews, and everybody else. We got the houses and they falling apart, cost too much to maintain them. Give them folks back their houses and go buy. Let's get our capital together and let's create new neighborhoods. I went to the mosque for a sermon one time. The last time I went, and Brother Johnny was talking about heaven. And he said, heaven is when you got masses of black folks who are buying up neighborhoods, brand new developments, and they're living there, and they're patrolling their neighborhoods, and they're securing their neighborhoods, and they're setting the expectation and the tone for their neighborhood. That's what it should be. Sometimes we say we got to preserve our black neighborhood. Man, we inherited that stuff from them. Before black folks was in the square, we were down in the north end. They move us where they want to move us out. And folks need to be cognizant of that.
Yeah, and the Nation of Islam has been big on that, and they call them cul-de-sacs. So you get into these homes, and you control the whole area. Let me ask this. I know we're running out of time. Let me ask this well, not last question. You guys can talk as much as you want. Moving forward, this is election season coming up, and I don't want to just strictly on that. Moving forward, right now we have a lot of things we can go on. You heard about the issues that happened from Daryl Moss and Brother Stokes. Right now, we in the middle of a pandemic, so-called pandemic, with all the leadership is pushing the shot, and everybody's they're telling you to get shot, vaccines, not getting enough information and stuff. Moving forward, how fast how fast can we put together this pack that we're putting together? And the second point, how can we identify candidates to run for office, and what are we doing, and what should we be doing to identify these candidates?
First of all, it's a real commitment. A lot of people say they want to run, but it's a hell of a commitment, because the bottom line is you're not going in there with your agenda. You're going with the community's agenda. And a lot of people think that running for office, everybody's about resume building, status jumping, and trying to, boost their own ego. But running for elected office means that you're actually tapping. You're going to be a part of this system to move the Black agenda along. So that's difficult. And then to find somebody who is unapologetic, you have to be unapologetically Black. You have to be willing to go down. If you're running for state rep, state senate, you have to be willing to go down to Boston and do the same thing our Latino brothers are doing. They go down there, they make it real clear, this is the flag we waving, and we're not wavering. We're the only ones that compromise. And we're the only ones who tell young people, don't run until you're 50. You're too young. Bruh, he's 45 years old. You're too young. You need to start at school committee. We're the only ones that put these stupid post-plantation rules in place. We're constantly telling people they're not ready and that they should. We have to stop that issue right now. Throw that out the door. We got to find folks for.
So I'm not too old. I'm not too old to run. I'm 54. I can run.
Hell no, you ain't too old to run.
You're about the age that they want you to be when you run.
They want you to be old and tired and beat down and like, listen, man, I love Brother Ben Swan. I really do. But Charles, you talked about the deterioration of the business community up on the square. That was during Ben Swan's tenure. When they did that, it wasn't Ray Jordan was already gone. The people who should have been fighting for that then were the Black city councilors at the time. It was the state rep at the time. We ain't had no state senators. We have nobody else. So it's like you become that warrior by default. If you want that position, it's up to we put people in office to safeguard our shit.
Right.
Love Ben Swan. I think Ben Swan is at some point we should have a statue of him. However, the guard was down. You can't, you gotta fight for us to maintain our stuff. When they did, back when I first went into City Hall with the mayor back in 2008, they were doing that Boston Road corridor. When they eliminated all the off-street parking, all the way up from Stick, all the way up past, almost to the Aquarius. You remember that? All the Black businesses lost their parking. American International College gained all types of parking.
I remember.
Nobody fought for us. So cats were closing.
I might have been in college.
Cats were closing down because they couldn't go into business. People couldn't go into the businesses. There was nowhere to park. Moved all those businesses out. So if you decide to run for a state office, you need to understand your job is to bring back the dollars so that we can reboost and regenerate our Black business community. If you decide to run for city council, the brunt of it is ordinance, zoning, and ordinance. You need to figure out how that's going to work for us. The other piece is you can't just stay downtown. I don't give a damn about your title. You need to be up showing some leadership. You need to be visible. Dominic Sarno should not be the one speaking when we lose one of our babies. How often have you seen a Black elected official host a press conference because some mother has just lost her baby? Another mother's about to lose their baby to the prison system for the rest of his life. When was the last time you seen an elected official do that? So people need to understand there's a hell of a responsibility running for office when you're Black. That status quo shit is unallowed. So what I'm going to suggest, along with the PAC, and it's tedious work, it's a lot of work, but along with that PAC, there needs to be a report card. I don't care about your rhetoric. I don't care about you attacking Dominic Sarno.
Right.
He's a bigot. So what? We all know that.
Right.
But what are you doing? You're public attacks on the mayor's office when you're also an elected official and you have some say in what happens in the city. You can't hold someone else accountable without holding yourself accountable. So if you decide to run, you need to understand there's a burden that comes with it. You got to carry our buckets for us. We're not like the white community. We don't have the cultural unity that the Latino community has. So you got to carry those buckets. But on the other side is, I wouldn't advise anyone to run unless they know they have the full support of the black community. Right. You got to have support because we can change shit. You remember when they came after Victoria Road, Brother Stokes?
Yeah.
Yes.
How many people we bring up in that building?
It was close to 100 or more.
Them white boys, them Negroes, the coons, the Negroes, the blacks, the whites, everybody was shook like hell. Turn that vote around. So when people talk about what can we do if the elected officials don't do it, it's just a matter of we got to do a good job of educating our community. First thing we want to do is educate the masses. You can't mobilize until you educate and raise awareness. Once you educate it, you make your issue an issue for everybody, and they rise with you. Man, you can do damage. Now imagine being an elected official and you got the neighborhood behind you and you say, I need everybody at City Hall tomorrow, and everybody shows up because they know when Brother Stokes says it, he means it. And it's not just rhetoric because now he's also showing his body of work.
Right.
And I keep using the term body of work because if you ain't built nothing, you ain't created nothing, you giving me empty glasses. You're giving me an empty glass when I'm thirsty. This shit look good. It might be pure crystal, $500 a glass, but what the hell that shit gonna do for me if ain't nothing in it when I say I'm thirsty? You gotta have a body of work. We got cats who are filling seats and the seat's still empty. We got fat people in seats and the seats are still empty. Mm-hmm. They're not doing anything for us. So we have to do a better job of vetting our folks. When we say, nah, bruh, we're not voting for you. I don't care if you love me, hate me, fight me, do what you want. But I'm gonna launch a campaign to make sure that this dude just takes out papers. I'll handle your nomination papers, Stokes. Just run. But you got to go down there with a plan. You got to have a vision. We have leaders with no vision.
Yeah.
Where you want to take us? Oh, when I get in office, I'm going to remember you. I don't give a fuck if you remember me. Where are you taking me? You want to be my leader, but what is your vision? Can you imagine going to war with a general who don't know what the fuck he's doing and you following him out behind enemy lines? We're black people. We are always behind enemy lines. We are always at war. This shit ain't nothing new. If you want to be a sergeant or a general, you need to have a vision in terms of what that expected outcome is. When I get in office, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. And the community, Black Business Association, or whatever you want to choose to call yourself, that's going to be our epicenter. We're going to build around the business space. You got to have a plan. We have people who run for office, but they ain't got no damn plan. I don't give a damn what your title is. I'm a school committee member. I don't give a fuck. What the hell does that mean?
Right. This looks like a good right here. This looks like a good cabinet right here, right?
Yeah, dude. But I wanted to say quickly, like one of the things that we have to do, and as Daryl was saying, right, is we have to put out a campaign to the community citizenship and give them our specific goals and agenda for people and ask them, what do you think about it? Sometimes we gotta galvanize and ask them, what do you think? What do you want in your neighborhood? What can we do? What are you looking for? And then we write that stuff down and we put an agenda together. And because sometimes you don't gotta find a candidate. You don't gotta be a perfect candidate. Are you going to address our needs? Are you going to address those? Okay, good. You're going to address this? We'll vote for you. If not, let's hold back our votes and vote for somebody. And we don't vote for 8 or 9 people.
So I'm going to take it one step further.
Go ahead.
We need to stop boosting people who don't have a constituency. Right now, every time I post on Facebook, Instagram, I'm always thinking about the people who I can't put foul shit on my page, which is why I'm apologizing for swearing. I have responsibility for the people who respect me enough to say, let me see what D thinks. There's already a constituency. You dig? Because your constituency is based on your history. Your history has to do with your body of work. So,
and that's why.
so the thing I'm going to say this: we should be doing that right now, whether we run or not, because we have a constituency. Right. So everything we should be doing, just as black men, we should be carrying ourselves like diplomats, regardless of whether or not we have an office. You dig what I'm saying? We have a responsibility. It's easy to say you have a title, now you're the blame. When we started the Association of Black Business and Professionals, cats thought I was crazy because I said I'm not going to be your fearless leader. We are going to be leaders. What we don't want to do is sit around a table full of bobbleheads. So the leadership was always circular. There were times when people assumed I was the chair of the board. I never took the title on the board because leadership has to be circular. And when it gets to the point where people are hearing your voice or seeing you way too much, you have to know when to step back and let everybody else step up. It was so easy for them to take out Fred Hampton because Fred Hampton was the voice. It was so easy for them to take out Medgar Evers because Medgar Evers was the voice. You know, the cats that were taken out that did time, they were the voice. People knew they were the movement. Right. You take them out, the movement stops. All these cats who are like 75, 80 years old, they wasn't no fucking threat then. They ain't no threat now.
Exactly.
And that's why you got to get those young people of like minds. Like you said something key, and what I've been working with recently is people that haven't voted since I ran for office. And I said, man, I might run for office. It was like, yo, if you run, and like your constituents, the people that I'm telling them, man, we need you. Bruce Bryce, we need you. Flavor, the barbershop, we need you. You gotta vote, man. Whatever ingenuity y'all can use to get people to vote, then we gotta get that going. And then we let the people know, this is how we're gonna do it. And I'm just not the type of guy, I don't want to be a politician that handcuffs me. And I don't want to be handcuffed. Zoning and stuff, that's not what I do. I want to galvanize our community together and come together. And there's nothing you gotta do. If you hear somebody talking bad about your brother, like, I don't play that, man. You got something to say to somebody, man. Say it to their face. Call a brother. Talk to him, man. We gotta stop. There's a saying in the Quran. Would you eat dead flesh? No, you abhor it. Backbiting is like eating the dead flesh of your brother or sister. And this is why, like, I'm who I am. I know what it's like to have compromised. And I always share this. When I was strung out on crack and heroin, and I didn't know which way to go, my life was like a lot of young people. I wanted to go to prison to get some rest because I didn't have an idea of what was going on in my life, all the trauma I had. I had no idea how to live. And so prison was a necessary respite in my life. I was looking forward to going there because I had given up on living. And when I come back the way I come back, listen, man. Everybody in the Springfield Police Department know Charles Stokes. I'm talking about from Lieutenant Kelly, Ledoux, Ashwell. I'm one of the dudes that wasn't supposed to make it back. I'm one of the dudes who he was never supposed to live. I'm the dude that was beat by the Springfield Police Department, and when I woke up in Pearl Street, I had defecated all on myself. And these were black police officers who did this to me, bit me in my back. And so now that I'm talking about the consent decree, it's important that that legacy is open and we deal with that. In the community, we have to get them to trust, like, we know it's painful. You voting for people like Daryl said, just because. you know him, or you got some, but they're betraying us. They're betraying our future. And so it's tough. It's a difficult conversation that we're having tonight. But we got to know who our friends are. We have to know who our enemies are. And we have to point them out. And even for those of us in the Black community, once you get right, man, we're not excluding nobody, but to continue to leave a legacy of begging people for what's rightfully ours so that you can live up on the hill somewhere and think you made it with your token job, with your token car, and your token house, just a damn token. And because you are successful, that doesn't mean anything until all of us can have the same type of rewards. And even though some of us don't want to do it, we're apathetic. But that's the fight we got. We have to fight for those who can't fight for themselves. And like Daryl said, when we elect you to office, it's unfortunate, but you become our Superman or Superwoman. And you have to be mentally, spiritually, and physically fit to say you want to speak for Black people. You have to, because now we're looking for you to be our hope. We trust you. And when you betray us, you sitting down like Marcus Williams, you posting that you sat down with the mayor. Well, can he tell us what the mayor said he's going to do for the consent decree? Can he tell us what the mayor is going to do to assure mothers who've lost children to gun violence? When are they going to hear something from their cases? You have more cold cases of Black children. You want $337 from a Shannon grant for overtime. Maybe the mayor can use that to help with the cold cases. These are the issues, Marcus, that we're asking you since you sit down with the mayor. Come to the community and ask what you're Black, man. So what is he saying about the issues that we're all clamoring about? Marlo Brown, you represent Ward 4. How is this dude coming into our community? How many Black people getting jobs? How many Black contractors? Hell, how many Black laborers? They get to come in, do reconstruction, do construction, and people from Longmeadow, Agawam, Chicopee, they'll be getting the jobs. You wouldn't even listen to the community. And if I, Charles Stokes, I'm gonna put it on me, if I speak out and I dare to call them out, I'm wrong. They continue to do what they do, and they're right, and label me the angry Black guy. They'd rather ostracize me, make me seem like the culprit because I'm calling out the betrayal. Jesse Letterman, you come in the community, you say the mayor needs to do more. But the police union supports your candidacy.
It's not funny, but that's like a walking contradiction.
Yeah.
So,
Hey, yeah, you know what? Let's while you're on that point, Stokes, talk about the DLG report real quick, and Daryl, follow up with that because I know both of y'all know a lot about it.
He mentioned the contractors. I just want to let people know that as it pertains to Marcus and I want to be real clear. We have a really good working relationship. He's been working to get the Association of Black Business and Professionals. We've been working with a woman by the name of Jennifer Little Greer, and she runs the Minority Construction Council out of Connecticut. They've been successful in raising millions of dollars for Black contractors, getting contractors like crazy out of Connecticut. We've been working for a whole year on this thing to try and move it along. We've been working with Marcus and Melvin Edwards. So Marcus has been active. And I'm gonna throw this out there just so I like to be fair. If somebody, if I know they're doing something, if I'm aware of it, I want to share that. In terms of making sure that we had a platform in the past, we couldn't get the city council under the former president. We couldn't. They would never. The word Association of Black Business and Professionals was never uttered.
Mm-hmm.
We finally had somebody. Since he's been there, he's been working with us. We're trying to set up an office for Jennifer Little Girl now. We're this close to locking the city down into a policy where Black contractors will have a direct pipeline into planning, eco dev, and procurement. I should wait to say that, but I just wanted to throw that out there. We couldn't get in. And then with my relationship with Room 214, it definitely wasn't happening. But I'm going to give Marcus that credit because he's worked to make that happen, and we're really close. So I just had to throw that out there. And, you know, we've worked on a couple other things. So I just want to put that out there.
Question for you.
Go for it.
So if that's, I know that may be true.
Yeah.
How does that impact what he didn't do with Gordon Faulkner by allowing that to go on? I don't know. I mean, I know he's probably doing that with you.
I don't know, only because I'm not. Let me be 100% transparent. I'm not all that familiar. I heard about the thing with Complex with the tenants not being allowed to speak. I heard about it, but I'm not that familiar with it. So at the time, I'm gonna be honest. I'm so tunnel visioned on economic development for Black people and jobs and expanding the whole contractor base. That's all we've been working on. So with that, and just talking to him in terms of his perspective, in terms of, you know, him and Melvin both talking about what needs to be done for Black contractors and what we're going to work together to do. Some folks, you can submit a resolution if you like, but it's another when you have a game plan, a realistic game plan. And I shouldn't be talking about because I don't think the crackers need to know what we're up to, but I'm just going to throw this out there. When I'm dealing with somebody who understands that Black contractors need to be at the table, right? And they couldn't, you know, the past councilors could not figure out how to get this shit done. I'm working with somebody who gets it. So he may, you know, just because somebody misses a couple of 3 points. John Starks is my favorite ball player. A lot of Knicks fans hate him because they felt like that last run at the championship,
he should have passed the ball.
He dropped the ball for him. You know, they blame him. But at the same time, when I look at what he did as a reserve player coming off the bench, he just transformed. So I think when it comes down to Black people, and I know there are people who got mad shit to say about me. I don't care. Either if I couldn't help you, I'm sorry. But one man trying to do what the hell he can. I look at, you know, some of the things that I worked on Marcus in the past for Black people, for the shit that I work on, I can't knock them because there were 5 Black city councilors, and the only one that responds to the call every time, for me, is Marcus. You dig what I'm saying? And the only one that reaches out is Mel. And I'm just one person, so I'm not the end all to be all. But the only one that will call me and say, "I just want to tell you what we're doing," or "What are you doing?" is Melvin. And I know people have criticized, but I think that's the conversation, Brother Stokes, that we got to have. We need a council of folks. Fuck elected officials.
Yeah,
we need a council of real people, not cats who will be ghosted and meeting with Dominic the day after we meet. We need people who gonna be in the table and stay at the table. Go ahead, Keaton. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. No. That's cool. Let me ask you that because what you just said is very, very important. I think once it gets up and running, because you don't want, like you said, you don't want to expose too much and shit till it gets into the door. I need you to come back and talk a little bit about what can happen with Springfield, because what we talked about earlier with, you know, with the businesses and the storefronts and all that can very well impact the city of Springfield with Black businesses and Black contractors. Not only that, but when we see that, when, you know, they'll be able to bid on a lot more of big projects. And as you know, there's projects that these guys ain't even allowed to bid on. And Springfield is built. The last thing I seen, Springfield is building up a storm. So we definitely got to have you come back to talk about that, because that's very important, though.
We have a plan for that. Let me tell you, there will be a direct pipeline. But then I'm gonna shout out all the Black. I'm gonna say this to the Black contractors: get off your high horse. You know how many times cats have reached out to contractors? We've been organized with our contractors because they won't come to the table. We got contractors who fall into camps as well. You know, I'm with the Hearst family. I don't care, brother. I'm trying to get you a contract. So, I'm with this group. I don't care, brother. I'm with TAP. I don't care. We're trying to bring everybody to the table. So the other piece is cats got to be ready. You got to be ready to handle your business. If you want to step into the ring, be ready to handle your business and have a willingness to be open to work with other black people. One thing I personally try not to do is inherit other people's enemies. That's not my ish. I don't care who you are like. I'm here to do work. If you want to work with me, let's work with me. So to the contractors, you got to be prepared to come to the table. And this shit happens, like people were calling afterwards where, there was a meeting and there was a tour of one of the schools. We weren't involved. We've been reaching out to certain contractors. Oh my God. Some of them I've talked to 5, 6, 7, 8 times. Then they're calling the office saying, well, nobody contacted me for this one. Bruh, you can't just expect to be called when there's $1 on the table. When we say come organize with us, you got to be there.
Right.
You got to be there. And a lot of black folks, we want to sit back. And I love my people, but we want to sit back and wait for people to knock on our door personally. Only when there's something good happening. They don't want to build. They don't want to process. They don't want to meet. They don't want to plan. They don't want to make shit happen. But they will complain, yeah, we ain't getting no contracts, or we don't have access to this, or I lost my shit because, no. When we told you this is what we were doing, you should have been there. And it doesn't mean the door's closed. We're going to do, whether you love yourself or whether you love me, it doesn't matter. We're going to love you regardless. We're going to make shit happen for you. But they got to be ready.
Yeah. So listen, we got about, let's go 5 more minutes. We got to go because I have to get on to another call later on. Let's talk about this DOJ report and this dissent decree, for whatever you know about it. So in 5 minutes, we can talk about it. Let's start with you, Stokes. Let's talk about
this. So from what I've been following, as we both know, Donald Trump, Department of Justice, came back with this scathing report about the Springfield Police Department and the drug unit. And I from actual facts, know that some of that stuff was going on. Hell, the dude is doing security now for Brick. We call him Blondie. What is this? Anyway, they so they're not moving fast enough. So the NAACP and the Pioneer Valley Project got the courts to come up with this consent decree to make them adhere to what the DOJ report said. Are they making any? They haven't told us anything. Cheryl Clapproot, anything. Are they doing the recommendation that the DOJ report did? So nothing is being done about that issue. So they wrote a letter to the department, to the city council, for them to sign it, endorsing the mayor to do the work with the DOJ. So far, first only 2 people signed the letter. Justin and Tracy.
Damn.
And who?
I said damn.
Yeah, Justin and Tracy. Marlo finally, he signed on, but then Marcus said he didn't want to sign on because first, it would be too costly. Then secondly, he said he needs to learn more about it. So we're saying it's costly because the mayor is not moving.
Wait, hold on, Stokes. Learn more about what? The Justice Department report?
No, the consent decree.
Oh, okay.
And what would the ramifications be?
Okay. My bad. Go ahead. Yeah.
On the city if it did it. So my thing to Marcus was, because I went to the city council speak out, and I spoke out. And I just asked him, what more do you have to learn? And when Springfield is paying out money to families who the Springfield Police Department has brutalized, wouldn't you say the cost of an ineffective police department with Proud Boy mentality jump out and hurt our community? So for them not, and then Kennedy Walsh, your boy Letterman, he didn't sign it because he's supported by the police union.
The super liberal didn't sign it?
The super liberal with the Argyle coat and the hush puppy shoes.
Who's invited to all the family reunions and all the family cookouts. Oh, we love Jesse. Jesse is everywhere.
When he first came out, he was a young boy, about 15 years old. And when I saw him, he'll tell you what I said to him. I said, they priming you to be the overseer. Yeah. I said, I know what they doing with you. Henry Tways, God bless him. They groomed Jesse to be over that community. And this is how he repays us. But we're quiet. We don't say nothing to him or others. And they continue. And then you got black people saying, he's all right. That's old Jesse. So till we cut that head off in that dynamic. But anyway, the DOJ report, the mayor, the police commissioner has yet to give us anything on have they improved it. Nothing.
And they're not going. They've had. Can I jump in, Stokes?
Sure,
Yeah,
brother.
you got it, Daryl. You got it next.
They've had three roundtables in which they were to address the Department of Justice report. Not once have they addressed the Department of Justice report. Whenever I think Orlando asked a critical question during the first one, I think Freddie Lopez asked a 4-tier question, and they every response to the hard questions, well, we'll get back to you on that, and they never do. This last one back in December was interesting because during the roundtable to address the DOJ report, Cheryl Clapper said, well, in my department, I don't see racism. There's systemic racism in the Springfield Police Department. And nobody said shit. The room was quiet. Everybody just like it was nothing. So the other thing is there are still cases like the Flores case, the dude that they beat down in the police department in the store a couple of years ago. He ended up getting shot in the arm. They claimed that he attacked them. It was a chase. Come to find out, it was all on footage. They walked in and just jumped them and beat them like they were gang members. There's so many cases that, that they just never followed up on. The other piece is when you talk about the DOJ report, you look at the time period in which the DOJ report was written. We have 2 deputy commissioners who were captains who were over the narcotics bureau at the time, one black and one white. How in the world are you going to do an overhaul when 2 of your key deputies were active participants in all that violence? Never addressed. The other piece is, even if something, there are cases that went before the hearing board, the commission. There were things that where they said it was absolutely wrong. There should have been consequences. Them things sit in Cheryl Clapton's in Cheryl's cabinet, which is one of the arguments we had before I was terminated. They just sit in his cabinet. It's like, so everybody's talking about the process and consequence and discipline, but nobody talks about the follow-up to see if any of these officers have ever been disciplined or if there's ever been any consequence. Right. That question has never been addressed, and it needs to be addressed. So when you talk about that DOJ report, it's a joke. They're not going to. But then again, you look at our community. Who's really forcing their hand? Who's forcing their hand? Some rhetoric on the sideline, rhetoric on the radio, rhetoric on a live like this. Who's really organizing to force their hand?
Yeah.
It's never happened.
So this is, and I want to ask you this too, Daryl. So this doesn't, the police commissioner gets a lot of heat from this, but this falls on the mayor too for not using his executive power and making sure that this shit happened, right?
He's too busy kissing the police department's ass. I don't care. When Cheryl Clapper made that stupid decision to bring those 5 officers back, I'm the mayor, and if you don't like the decision, that's it. That's his response. His ego gets in the way. There's nothing. Again, I talked about when the young kids were getting killed. Doesn't bother him. The only time he was bothered is when the little white kid got killed. Said it then, saying it now. Now I'm not there, so I can really say what I want to say. But It's just like, you're talking about a mayor who over-identified with Donald Trump. We're talking about a man after Donald Trump called our black athletes those sons of bitches. This dude also put out a statement. Go back, Google it. It's in mass liability. He talked about why he felt the black athletes are wrong and there's no place to protest. Who the fuck are you to tell us when is the right or wrong time to protest or how we gonna protest police brutality?
Right.
This is the same dude that went to when Tracy them did that mural in front of City Hall. This is the same dude that went to the Black Lives Matter rally talking about the mural wearing a Blue Lines mask. So you're asking this son of a Ofe to come in and do due diligence to make sure that there's justice? In what world? You're talking Clapperud, a renowned bigot. Talk to officers, white and black. She's a bigot, always has been. And you're expecting her to come up with a corrective plan. Her deputies were part of all the mischief that took place during the DOJ writing. And then, as Brother Stokes said, it was a Donald Trump Department of Justice that implicated them. How bad do you have to be to have Donald Trump's Department of Justice? And nothing's happening. Dominic comes out. We talked about Drew a couple of months ago in terms of, blacking out elected officials, white and black,
right,
that don't do the right thing. I got phone calls and cats like, don't do that. We can't do that. Well, why can't we do that? When I say black them out, I mean, why are they allowed on the Hill? Why are they allowed to go to any black events? If you're not doing the right thing, if you rob my house 10 times, why am I inviting you over for dinner? We're the same ones. You talk about insanity, we do the same thing over and over. Then we have these conversations, talk about the woulda, coulda, and shouldas. But then we turn around, we see this dude, and we want to jump in pictures with him. We see Cheryl Clapperud, and we tell her, "Oh, it's okay. I know they've been really hard on you." Tiffany Alicia, she was out in front of the police department by herself for weeks on end. If we really cared, we would have stormed the police department. I'm not talking about inciting violence, but they would have knew that this community wasn't playing. Everybody marched in front of the police department. Who went down to City Hall? Why not take over City Hall until that thing is signed? Right. Until something is done. The question is, how far are people willing to go? What are you willing to do? Yep. We could talk all damn day. Well, what are you willing to do? Somebody asked me if I regretted the shit I did and said during the last 2 or 3 months in the mayor's office to get my ass fired. No, I have no fucking regrets. My kids got to eat, mortgage got to be paid, lights get on. We struggle. But to stay dead smack in the middle of a Klan rally for a paycheck, the shit ain't worth it. Right. And a lot of folks on the sidelines ain't got shit to lose.
Right.
But where you at? We've had rallies where we got white women leading the damn charge for our community. And everybody sees that shit and they think it's okay. We have people go, I'm unapologetically black. I'm for the blackness, but where the fuck you at when we need you? And right now, the DOJ report, where the hell you at? What pressure? And myself included. Man, I kick my ass. I kick my own ass every day. So people ain't got to kick it for me. Come like, damn, you got to do more.
Well, just like you saying,
we got to make that shit happen.
Well, just like you saying, which is disheartening, because Brother Stokes called me and he put me on the list to speak, and we were all ready to speak last Monday, and we were all shut down not to speak. So I think what you're saying is more prominent than ever, as now is the time where we got to put this stuff together. Because we seeing now they're trying to shut people's voices down and they not letting us speak and they're just doing what they need to do. Now we just got to move collectively and stop. And I'm guilty of it too. I'll get frustrated and sit back and cuss everybody out behind closed doors. And now it's just about just really getting active and really doing what we need to do to get certain people out of office. And I agree with you on that.
Imagine the power if you had all those folks who came down there ready to speak and speak their piece. Call a press conference right in the fucking hallway, right in front of their meeting.
That's exactly what I said.
Why are we always waiting for somebody else? Well, Charles, you can speak now. Fuck that. We don't have to. And I think one of the things that pissed up Brother Charles, I love you. When we did that shit the day before they told me I was fired, let me tell you something. Y'all motherfuckers had me feeling like, excuse my language, y'all had me feeling like Superman because we did something that nobody expected black people to do. Let me say it again.
Right.
And it wasn't because it was me. I went home like, damn, we did that shit. It's like clear message to the city. It was like, F you, mayor, F you, Mass Live. We had the publishers from Mass Live, them folks from Mass Live call me every damn day. Well, why won't you talk to us? Do you normally talk to black people? No. So it's kind of like when they say they wouldn't allow you to speak, the hell, I can't get either one of y'all to shut up when I want y'all to. How can they get y'all to be quiet? Then we got this digital age. All somebody needs is a Mevo, and you hold your own press conference for the black community. Say, yo, we live at City Hall, and this is what's going on, and you make it loud enough for them to hear you.
Damn, that's the
And
first.
you know,
That's the first time I heard Daryl said I talk too much. But anyway, wow. I thought I was the quiet one and stuff.
Quiet one. Me and
But
Stokes for the lectures.
yeah,
hey, but you know what? But I will say this though. I
Yep.
will say in conjunction with you are the sad part about you got liberal white people leading the charge here in Springfield, right? And Pioneer Valley Project. I recently got with them.
They do good
and
work.
joined on with them.
I got
I
members.
recently joined on with them because Dave Lewis is with them now, and he's on the board now. And so, I had a conversation with her. The sad thing is, Daryl, D, brother, if one of us would have called a meeting and do what she's doing, there are people in our community who wouldn't dare stand with me on those issues. There's people who wouldn't dare stand with Charles Stokes on any pressing issue because of my inability to compromise. And no matter what they say about me, one thing they don't say is I'm lying. I'm a liar. And I fight the way I fight because I love this community. There are young men in this community, some people's sons and daughters, that I stopped from getting raped, got their sneakers back for them on the yard, made it comfortable for young dudes so they could come home. And so that same fight is what I have. I know what it's like to be hostage to something and compromising because you want to get high. I'm not that guy, so I can't compromise. And when I'm out of order, I can take somebody coming to me and say, bro, maybe you should check that. I'm not above that. I'm not above good counsel. I'm not a jackass. I'm not above that. But what I won't do is compromise.
right.
The community.
Yeah.
I won't compromise Daryl's wife, his children. You can trust them with me.
Sure enough.
You can trust them with me. Because if anything happens on my watch, you can trust Jillian with me. I won't be there to tell you what happened. I'm going to die or somebody dying. That's how I live.
Yeah.
And so,
yeah. And on
I stand on the truth.
Right. And
I'm
on that note,
to,
I'm not trying to. Yeah, and on that note, I'm not trying to. I really have to. We have to like come to a close. But I want you listen. We have to, because of the truth that comes out of this and the conversations that come off. You guys know we have to do this again, and we have to do this more frequently than once. Just like Daryl was mentioning, alluding to earlier, with these platforms to create these conversations, regardless if people refuse to come on here or don't come on here, we should still have them, and we have to have them. And we have to have them more often. I'm gonna tell you right now, just listening and just feeding everybody and people that's feeding out, because we're all gonna share this to our networks. This is some of the realest conversations that you had about Springfield, the conversations that never happen and that never take place about what's really going on and what we need to do. So now that the people can see it and the world can see it, not only in people in Springfield, but they can take some of the formulas that was put together tonight and move forward on what they're trying to do, especially when it comes to us. So on that note, we have closing marks. Closing marks. Let's start off with D Moss and do closing.
Closing remarks. Listen, man, there are a lot of people doing a lot of good work, and I think we have to do something new. We have to get away from that deficits model of community restructure, and we have to start engaging in capacity mapping. I think I'm huge on that. I think we have to look at all the positives happening in our community. We have to look at all the work that's being done, and we have to herald that work. The other piece is economic development is the center of everything that we do. It's not about being wealthy. It's about making sure that our folks can have a decent quality of life. We have to create opportunities for our people to survive and thrive. So that's all I got to say. Be the change.
Brother Stokes.
I just want to say thank you for allowing me this opportunity to come on your show. And I just want to say to the community at large, let us take a deep look in the mirror, ask what we can do to make things better. And I really think that we need to begin, if I've hurt somebody, if I've harmed somebody, to forgive me. And what can we do to make Black relationships better so that we can love one another, really love one another, to begin to take care of the things, because it's not about us at the end of the day. It's about our children. We're soldiering for the next generation. And so let us remember that we're not our own worst enemies, but we have to challenge each other when it comes to us openly betraying our community and the young people's trust. And that's all.
All right. On that note, I want to thank everybody for tuning in to the Truth Unveiled 2.0. We hit every Friday at 7 p.m. I want to thank my guest, D Moss. You can check D Moss is all on during the week with his shows, On Deck TV Live. Check out the Metro record. It's in the stores near you. I got a couple of bundles I still got to drop off. Make sure you hit up Brother Charles Stokes, the Black
Liberation Alliance for Change.
Right, Black Liberation Alliance for Change. Make sure you check them out. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Good vibes. And you can check out D Monday night? No, tomorrow. You can check out the
Sunday at Sunday at 3 p.m. we're on deck. 5 p.m. with Poems and Passion. Next Wednesday at 7:30 p.m. we'll have Dr. Scott Whitaker on.
Okay.
Because every Wednesday we talk about Black health. I think that's the most important show. So tune in every Wednesday, 7:30. We talk about Black health from a Black perspective. Get in, dig it.
Yeah. So on that note, we're going to sign off. You guys stay backstage real quick, and we're going to sign off. And once again, Truth Unveiled, you can check out my YouTube page, AK Soul 413. See ya.
Peace.